goodness. So
Okay.
it's good to see you, honey.
You too.
That is good.
I was wondering what was going on. I was like, well, what is going on? My goodness.
It's Saturday. And
We
because
can get it going.
I'm just slow to the Saturday. Because
oh, I hear you. No
it's
problem there.
It's lay on the couch, lay on the floor.
I told my daughter I didn't feel well when I went to bed last night, and so I was trying to pray that off. I'm like, Lord, what is going on? And when I woke up this morning, I woke up kind of with a jar, and I was thinking it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I looked at the clock; it was 10 o'clock. I was like, Jesus.
That's a regular weekend.
I don't know what that was. I was like, okay.
Are you usually up early?
I felt better.
Oh, that's good. Are you usually up early?
I wake up early. I don't necessarily get up.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I pray and then I watch the news. Sometimes I watch the news. Sometimes I watch something else.
Gotcha.
This morning I watched Steve Furtick. Oh, what he was talking about was so good. I really enjoyed that.
Right.
And it was something I just really, really needed.
I love you, right? Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim. So they're going somewhere. Somebody say, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. Say it in the chat. Say it in the comments. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. God's hand is on me. I'm going somewhere. God is taking me somewhere. God has not left me. God will not forsake me. God will not abandon me. God will not let me see decay. He will never leave the righteous forsaken nor a seed begging for bread. God will feed me and lead me and guide me and protect me. He said he would. He promised he would. That's what he does.
Let's continue the conversation we had. It's still this week, like what, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah.
And just wanting to have conversations with people who I find interesting, I find inspiring, that, I don't know, just have qualities that I just want to know more about.
Wow.
And one of those people, of course, like I talked to, is you. And then we had this, it was just kind of like the table side or fireside chats that just mentioning reminiscent that you guys used to have with Mom.
Yeah.
Wanting to.
That talk was so good. It inspired me the other day. I was like, wow, Mom, I miss you so much, because I enjoyed that the other day. I really did.
That was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a couple of questions lined up. If they feel like they are too deep or too personal, just let me know. Be like, no, I don't want to go there.
Sure.
And just understanding, I kind of want to put this out to other people, not just for me. Just be aware of who you're speaking of. If you could just use like he or she, if you say something, not implicate anyone if it's something that's true. So just to keep, so you can look family members or friends in the face, they may know it's them if it comes to that, but you can still have a reasonable relationship and be like, well, we should talk about that because it popped up in this conversation. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes in the midst of just finding out more about who you are, but I want you to be as open as you can.
Yeah.
So first question, well, first of all, Father, thank you for this time as we talk and listen, just bringing you into this so we can get history back and we can get relationship back, and we can get not just information about who people are on the outside, but learn people's hearts, because you said that we are to be, people would know us by our love. So just using this for us to reconnect as not just a body of Christ, because there'll be others, but just as people to get our love back one for another. So we thank you that you're here and we trust you. And I'm usually jumper. Let's jump into this. So Sandra Holt, Dr. Holt, Elder Holt, Sister Sand, I've heard some folks say Mama Holt, all those people, with all those people in mind, based on what your beliefs are, who are you? And I don't mean not just your name, but your personhood. Who are you?
Very interesting question. That's a very interesting question, because, most people don't know who they are. Really, truly who they are. And that's a question that my partner and I used to ask freshman students in the honors program. First 2 weeks was spent on who are you?
Okay.
Not your name, not your major, not who your mom and daddy are.
Right.
You know, not who you want to be. Who are you?
Yeah.
And we would spend 2 whole weeks dealing with that question. Who are you?
Right.
And it would always be so interesting, because at the end of it, some students would change their major. Interesting things would come out of it.
Gotcha.
Interesting things would come out of it, because students would find out things about themselves.
Gotcha.
And it was always a true learning that came out of it. Gotcha. And we always learned more about ourselves as we dealt with the freshman students in honors program, about who they were, who they found themselves to be. Right. Because we identify ourselves by so many different kinds of things. And we start with our name, and we start with so many different things, because we haven't been taught who we are. Right. We have so many different little parameters about who we think we are. Right. We have so many, and that's not to say that I'd have the answer, because a few years ago, I was traumatized by that. Oh. Because and I don't mind the whole self-disclosure thing, because I found myself in a place when I had to ask the Lord, you know, who am I? I'm lost. I'm so lost. Gotcha. I honestly don't know who I am right now, because I was one of those people who thought I knew who I was. Oh, okay. And then some things happened in my life, and I realized I had no clue who I was.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about that. So when you have a perception of who you are,
yes,
you already have a perception set up of I'm this person, I operate in this characteristic.
Yes.
People see me this, because we kind of see ourselves through the eyes of other people anyway.
Yes.
And so from that time to when you discovered other characteristics of yourself.
Yes.
What have you seen? If you could give me one aspect of who you thought you were.
Yes.
This is who you see you are in parallel to that identity now.
Well, one thing I knew beyond anything else, I knew I was saved.
Okay.
That's always been very important to me, who I was spiritually.
Gotcha.
Has always been number one.
Gotcha. How, as much as you can disclose, how did you grow up? I know times were different then than they are now. So what was the household like? Let me put it this way. I see you as a person who has you're settled about yourself. That's my perception. You can ebb and flow, which means you can listen and you can hear and you can make improvements or you can make changes. That's how I perceive you. But when you were little, from when you were little to living in the houses 4 of 8 to leaving, if you left home, how were you raised? How were you, I guess, what formed you into San?
We lived in a very strict household.
Okay.
There were, like I said, 8 of us.
Okay.
But I lived a vicarious life in that I read books all the time. Oh. So I lived in a dream world.
Okay.
I didn't live in the life that was happening around me.
Okay.
I lived in books.
Why?
Because I didn't like what was going on around me.
Okay.
So I lived an imaginary life.
Okay.
And the life I lived was in the books. So I traveled the world.
Okay.
I knew famous people.
Okay.
Everything was in the books.
Gotcha.
I would not miss school even if I was sick. I didn't let them know I was sick because I was not going to miss a day of school.
Okay.
So I was a very good student.
A refuge for you, or was
it was a refuge. It was a refuge.
Gotcha. Okay.
So psychologically, it was very interesting because I learned later in life, going to therapy, that, see, I don't remember the times before my mom and dad were saved. I don't remember when my dad hurt my mom. I don't remember those days.
Okay.
I had to ask my sister Betty about, how old was I when dad was beating mom?
Yeah.
How old was I?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember that stuff. And she told me about some of that. Mm-hmm. But see, psychologically, I had blocked it out.
Okay.
I had blocked all of that out. It's really quite interesting because God brought it back to me in a memory that I didn't know what that memory was. It's like, what is this?
Okay.
I didn't know what it was.
So the books and the education, did that shape, was it a choice for you to become an educator?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a choice. Growing up, I wanted to be an actress. Coming through high school, one of our favorite high school teachers was an actor, and he had us, I went to Meigs High School.
Right.
And our high school English teacher was out of TSU, and he was an excellent drama teacher. Mm-hmm. He really was. And that's how I ended up on stage, was dealing with Mr. Davis. Okay. And really trained us. Okay. And he would take us to TSU on trips, and we all fell in love with that. And so we all went to TSU and majored in, I was going to major in biology because I was going to be a nurse, trying to fulfill my mom's lost dreams. Okay. Because my mom wanted to be a nurse. And so I was going to fulfill her dreams of being a nurse because she stopped nursing school when she had me. Okay. So having heard my mom tell those stories about watching her house burn when I was born. Right. She saw her house burn down. When she was in the hospital having me at Meharry Hospital. So having heard those stories growing up, I was determined I was going to be a nurse to fulfill her dreams because my mom was so smart. You took on, and I always thought, she should have gone on to school, that kind of thing. Right. But when I got to TSU, I changed my major immediately because of what had happened in the 11th and 12th grade. Okay. Being in plays and whatever, I was really bitten by that theater bug. But, being in plays at TSU and all of that and changing my major, it really worked for me. Gotcha. And I was shy, and the stage brought something out of me. I was very, very shy. Oh, my. Oh, yeah. People don't believe that now, but I was very shy. Okay. But the stage brought something out of me because what I learned was being on stage, you could be whoever you wanted to be. And you were not looking at the people. You couldn't even see the people because of the lights. Right. And it worked for me. Okay. It really worked for me. Yeah. And so, I could just become somebody else on the stage. It worked. And then the classroom, I did well in the classroom. Okay. I did well because I love to read. I had no problem studying and whatever, so I made good grades.
Let's do a little bit of a flip because you can think back to who you were. Of course, I'm sure it was a strict household. Yeah. How were you raised? How did you accept your body? I'm just trying to say that here to bring it around to how can we help individuals understand you are a special vessel. As a woman, you are a special vessel. And as a triune being, we are spirit, soul, and body. So how do you experience this world as a woman in spirit, in soul, and in body without violating any of those? So how did you, other than anything.
I was a virgin when I married my husband.
Amen.
When I look back on myself, I'm like, dog, I missed all of that. I just didn't get it. That's not
Are
where
you
my
glad
mind
you
was.
missed it? Are you glad you missed it, or is there something that you felt you missed because?
No, I'm glad I missed it.
Okay.
I'm glad I missed it because I don't know. You know, Kenny and I have talked about that before. I don't know what or where I would have been had I operated in that way.
Gotcha.
That's just not who I was. There were just certain boundaries set by my mother. I believed my mother's teaching. I believed what Mama taught. I really did. I can say this is not easy. You really do have to know who you are. Can you fall in love with my mind? Can you fall in love with what I can produce?
Right. What do you think that you've produced? What do you think that you've grown?
I truly believe that my purpose in life has been, and this is something I developed some years ago, and I still think it to be true, even the fact that we're talking now. And that's why I felt so fulfilled after we talked the other day. I said, Lord, I see what you're doing, and I thank you for it, because I had, before we talked, I had been asking the Lord, I said, Lord, what is my purpose right through here? I kind of don't know what I need to be doing. I don't know. And then, you know, you called, and so I felt excited about it. And I was looking forward to today, you know, whatever we were going to do. And I felt some purpose in it, you know. But at one point, the Lord gave me my purpose, which was, and I really felt this, that I was born to meet people where they are, wherever that is.
Right.
And to help mold and shape them. And then to release them to their destiny. And see, that's all part of that teaching thing.
That's very accurate. That's
yeah.
For you,
but to make sure that I release them to their destiny.
That's good. If you were able to leave something with individuals, God forbid, this was not going to happen. I prayed
Sure.
Something would have happened. What would be a few nuggets that you wanted to leave with all of us? What would you leave for us?
My thing was always, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. Because, but that was a teacher in me. You can do it.
See, and even when you say you can do it, I didn't even hear you could do it. I hear, this is my expectation. You're going to do it.
Really? That's so interesting.
It was encouraging, but it wasn't like, oh, you can do it. Run this race. It was like, no, you're going to do this.
Oh.
You're going to do this. You're here. You came here you set a goal for yourself. You came here to finish this class. You said you had this in mind. So
now that was my thing. What did you sign up for?
Right. Yeah. I don't know what you need to do to adjust your schedule. I don't know what you need to do to adjust your life. I don't know how much you're going to have to fast, and you might die, but you're going to have to revive yourself and come to class, because this is what I'm expecting. And we would look forward to knowing that, Doc Sand is teaching, but we also knew that Doc Sand is teaching.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's we knew we could play, we knew we could joke, but we knew the truth. As hard as it may be, we would get the truth, we would get good counsel, and we'd get an expectation. And it wasn't it was almost like an imparted expectation. It's kind of like we knew that you were pulling this out of us.
Yeah. You
had a vision of who we're going to be shaped into, and we had to be that by the time the course was over.
Wow.
Yeah, it was some stuff. And this being on TSU campus, just knowing that you and some other folks were on campus, I was like, okay, I gotta get this class done. I gotta get this out of the way. I gotta do this right. And it's like an academic athlete. It felt like you were being challenged, and it was a good challenge.
That's awesome.
You still have that vibe. You still, to me at least, you still have that vibe.
Really?
Like, okay, that's Auntie Sand. She's the educated rich auntie. She's got. I mean, because it's like parts of her life are life goals. We know we can do that. You can live up to that. You can be educated.
That's so funny.
Walk in your calling. You can enjoy life and enjoy your family. And it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
So funny.
We only see ourselves through other people's eyes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just like you said, COVID and stuff and counseling, beautiful thing. Sometimes we have to accept ourselves through other people's eyes.
Yeah.
Because people can say things to you that are negative or feel negative. It's like, that can't be me. That's not me.
Right.
You examine it, and sometimes it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way you accept that. But then if somebody says, you know what, you're on top of this, you're so diligent, you can do this, you can do that. We have to accept those parts too and be like, you know what, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So how do I get strength in my backbone?
Right.
Walk in that. But even though you talked about some things of insecurity, you have to be like, okay, even looking at the word, it was insecurity. God said, no, you are in security.
Right.
And I was like, oh, check that out.
Yeah.
So just stand in secure. You are secure to me.
You are secure.
Okay. Like,
you know, Steve Furtick, when I was saying, when I listened to him, I told my daughter, I really appreciated what he said, and I needed it. He was talking about our identity in Christ.
Right.
And he said, so many of us, we know we've been called by Christ, but our problem is our own identity.
Okay.
And he said, we trust God. We know what God can do. Our problem is our own identity.
You're already in study from this morning.
Ooh. Our problem is our own identity. We don't trust ourselves. And he said, when God called Moses, he had Moses down there, you know.
Say right here, right here.
Okay.
It's right here.
Okay.
And it wasn't even
funny. Moses coming up with all this stuff, and he said to Moses, he said, what's that in your hand? And he said, a staff.
Right.
And he said, what did he say? What's that in your hand?
Right.
A staff?
Yeah.
He said, the problem is your hand, my hand, our hand.
Right.
We know what God can do.
Right.
But what's in your hand?
Right.
Yeah.
I was called, I was chosen for such a time as this. That means that God has given me something that's stronger than the times I'm in. Because we have been chosen. And so have you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and even you. And God would not have chosen you if this were going to destroy you.
Let's see. What's one more question for you? If you could give advice to a former part of yourself, what age would it be, and what advice would it be?
What age?
What age and what advice?
Oh, wow.
If you could stand in a room with yourself at all stages of maturity, 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 13, 16, 21.
Wow. Now this is gonna be interesting. It would be 25 years old.
Okay.
And it would be stand strong. Don't let anyone run over you.
That's good.
Know who you are. Don't let anyone run over you.
Okay.
You're okay. Stand strong.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You're okay.
Thank you, Doc San, for those words. Such a valuable voice. How can we glean in the Word and in ourselves to find out who we are? Who have we become? Who do we want to be? How can we describe and define and find our number one thing in life? Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something good out of this as well. Please leave a comment, share with your friends, subscribe, like, and let's see what we can find also in your valuable voice.